What's up guys? In today's video, I'm going to be giving you all of the best settings for the new season of Warzone and Modern Warfare 3. These settings are going to boost your FPS and lower your input delay. It will improve visibility and make people easier to see. It'll lower visual clutter so there's less distractions on your screen. It'll make it easier to aim, it'll make your movement better, and they'll just overall give you a big competitive advantage. Make sure you stick around because we have a lot of stuff to cover. I'll be talking about literally everything from graphic settings to keybinds, sensitivity, audio, and after that, I'll also go into the config file to tweak it further to get you guys better visibility and better FPS. But before I get into it, real quick, if this video does help you, if you learn anything, if your game feels better, please remember to leave a like and a comment. It helps out the video so much. If you guys want to see more helpful content in the future, make sure you subscribe. And if you guys want to see me play games live, the link to my Twitch is down below. I stream a few times a week, but that's it. Now let's get into the video. So first off, we're going to cover graphics. So we're just going to go in our options and go to the graphics tab. Display mode, you want this on full screen exclusive at all times. Display monitor, just choose your main monitor. Display adapter, choose whatever graphics card you're using. Screen refresh rate, make sure this is set to the highest. So for me, it's going to be 360. Display resolution, make sure you choose your monitor's native resolution. Mine's going to be 1920 by 1080. Yours might be 2560 by 1440. For aspect ratio, make sure it's set to 16:9 if you are on a 16:9 monitor. If you're on an ultra wide monitor, then choose whatever aspect ratio that monitor uses. Display gamma, set this to 2.2 sRGB. Brightness, click on this. 55 is going to be the best option for most people. NVIDIA reflex low latency, make sure you have this set to at least on. I wouldn't recommend using on plus boost because it does hit your FPS pretty hard in this game. Eco mode preset, set this to custom. VSync gameplay, turn this off. VSync menus, turn this off as well. For custom frame rate limit, you want this to be unlimited. Menu render resolution, I just have it set to maximal. This one doesn't really matter. Pause game rendering, I have it off. Again, this one doesn't matter. Same thing with focus mode, doesn't matter. I just have it set to 0. Now let's head over into the quality tab. Graphics preset, it's going to be custom. Render resolution, keep this at 100%. Dynamic resolution, keep this off. Upscaling and sharpening, Fidelity FX CAS is the best for visual clarity. I recommend anywhere from 70 to 100%. I really wouldn't recommend using any of the upscalers like DLSS or FSR unless you are really struggling with frame rates, because while these do boost your FPS, you do take a big hit to image clarity. A decent alternative to Fidelity FX CAS would be NVIDIA image scaling. Running this at native with a sharpness of around 30 to 50 really does sharpen up the game, but Fidelity FX CAS does look a little bit better, I think. Path tracing and ray reconstruction, keep this off. VRAM scale target, I have mine on 50 at the lowest, but if you guys have decent graphics cards, you could turn it up a little bit to like 60 or 70. Variable rate shading, I have this off. However, if you guys are struggling to get frames, this could be a good option. It does boost FPS pretty well, but it also does make the image quality of your game look kind of blurry. It doesn't look that good. I don't really like it, but again, if you guys are struggling to get good frame rates, this is a good option to turn on. NVIDIA DLSS frame generation, you don't want to be using this at all. Using frame gen in FPS games is not good. While the FPS number will be higher, your actual latency will also be significantly higher. For texture resolution, for max FPS, keep this on very low. If you guys do want a little bit of a better image, you want your camos on your gun to look better, turn it to low. This will help it out a little bit without hitting FPS too much. But once you start to go to normal and high, it will affect your FPS a little bit more, but low is a pretty good middle ground. Texture filter anisotropic, again, I don't really care about textures, so I keep this on low for maximum FPS. But if you guys do want them to look a little bit better, then turn this up to normal or high. The FPS loss is there, but it is very minimal. Depth of field, keep this off. Detail quality level, turn this to low. Particle resolution, very low. Bullet impacts, this one's personal preference. I like to have it off. Persistent effects off. Shader quality on low. Turning this up will lower your FPS a lot. On-demand texture streaming, turn this off. Local texture streaming quality on low. Shadow quality, this is one that you can turn up just a little bit if you want your shadows to look a little bit better. I wouldn't go past normal though, because it will start to eat your FPS. Personally, I don't care how shadows look. I want the max FPS, so I keep it very low. Screen space shadows on low. Ambient occlusion, turn this off. Screen space reflections, turn this off. Static reflection quality on low. Tessellation off. Volumetric quality low. Deferred physics quality off. Weather grid volumes off. And water quality off as well. Now we're going to head over into the view tab. For field of view, I play 120. I like being able to see everything. I like being able to get that visual information. High FOV is definitely better in this game. ADS field of view, you want this unaffected so that when you do ADS, it's tied to whatever FOV you're using. Weapon field of view, I like this on wide. It makes the weapon a little bit smaller on your screen and it looks better to me. Third person field of view, set this to the max at 90. Vehicle field of view, set this to wide so you can see more around you when you're in a car. World motion blur, turn this off. Weapon motion blur, turn this off too. Film grain 0, you don't want this on. First person camera movement at least 50%. Third person camera movement at least at 50%. Third person ADS transition, this one doesn't really matter. I just have it on third person. Spectator camera, just personal preference. I like game perspective. Inverted flashbang, I like to keep this off, but if you guys do get blinded by the white light whenever you get flashed, turn this on. That about covers it for all of the in-game graphics settings. Like I said, at the end of the video, I'll be going into the config file to tweak things even further further. But now we're just gonna head over into the audio tab. Audio mix, PC speaker is the best one to hear footsteps right now. For game sound device, just choose whatever headset or headphones you're using. Speaker output, you want this on stereo. Unless you're using a specific tune, then you would change it to Windows default. But without that, you want it to be on stereo. Master game volume, I play on 100%. I just have it on 0 for video purposes right now. Voice chat volume, I have this on 10%. I don't want the people in proximity chat to be screaming in my ear, but you do want this on so you get the icon in proximity chat when someone is around you. So voice chat, you want this on. Game voice channel, all lobby, especially if you're playing Warzone. If you're playing multiplayer, this doesn't really matter as much. Last words voice chat, I have this on because it's kind of funny. Same thing with proximity chat, you want this on, especially for Warzone multiplayer, doesn't really matter. Voice chat output, most people are going to want this to go to their headphones or headset that they're using. Microphone mode, I prefer push to talk. Microphone input, just set this to whatever microphone you're using. Microphone level, set this to 100, and then test microphone if you want to see how it sounds. Subtitles, turn these off unless you really need them. It's just more clutter on the screen that you don't need. Subtitle background opacity, set this to 0. Then mono audio, you want this off. Reduce tinnitus sound, I like this a lot. I turn it on. War tracks off. Juggernaut music off. Hit marker sounds are Modern Warfare. And then mute game when minimized, I have this off. This one's preference. Now we're gonna head over to the interface tab, and then after that I'll be talking about the keyboard and mouse tab. So let's go to our interface. Subtitles, we did this in the last one, they're already off. Menu text size default. Text chat size default. I like to have the text chat duration short so that it doesn't stay up on my screen too long and take up too much space. Click on this color customization tab. You don't really have to mess with any of these right now unless you want to set them to specific colors. Enemy color pink can be really good, and so can yellow. It could help you see them a little bit easier, but just come down here a little bit. These are the ones that are important. Color filter, set this to filter 2. Then color filter target, you want to set this to both. You can see the difference that it has on the color of the image. So this is what it looks like with the filter on, and then this is what it looks like with the filter off. You can see with the filter on, the colors are just a little bit more vibrant. They pop just a little bit more. It improves the colors just that slightest bit, so I like to keep it on, but just make sure it's set to either world or both. Then just go back, and then for HUD bounds, I like to use the smallest HUD bounds that I can, just so the minimap isn't so far into the corner and I have to move my eyes a lot from the center of the screen to see it. Minimap shape, you want this on square so you can see more of your actual minimap. Minimap rotation, I like to have this on. Horizontal compass, I like this on as well. It can help with callouts. Crosshairs, set this to static. Hit marker visuals on. Damage based hit markers on. For player names, you want this on full name so that you can see more of their name. It might help you see them a little bit easier. In-game text chat, I have this on. Vehicle HUD prompts, I have to fade after 10 seconds. Telemetry, set this to custom, and then come in here to show more. You guys at least want to turn on your FPS counter and server latency. You could also turn on packet loss, and then any of these other ones down here that you want on your screen, you can turn those on as well. Connection meter, I have off. Network and hardware alert icons, you want both of these on. Gameplay tips, I turn these off because I don't care. Skip introduction movie, turn this on. Tooltips, I have on. And then menu prompts, doesn't really matter. Mine's just keyboard and mouse. But now we're going to head over into the keyboard and mouse tab. First, I'm going to go over mouse settings. Mouse sensitivity, right now I'm playing on 1600 DPI 3.0, which is about 28 centimeters per 360. It's a high to medium-ish kind of sense. A decent range for this game that I like, that I feel is most optimal. If you're on 1600 DPI, it would be anywhere from 2.0 to 3.0, or if you're on 800 DPI, it'd be 4.0 to 6.0. I know there's people who play higher or lower than that, but those are going to be outliers. Most people would be better off somewhere in the range that I mentioned. For ADS sensitivity multiplier, I just keep it on 1.0. If you feel like it's a little bit too fast or too slow, you can bump it up. For ADS sensitivity type, I like relative. I know some people like legacy, but I've always preferred relative, and I use a monitor distance coefficient of 1.33. This keeps your ADS sensitivities across all ranges of scopes feeling pretty consistent. If it feels too fast, you could lower it. I know Apex uses a monitor distance coefficient of 0 at default, but I like 1.33. Custom sensitivity per zoom, I have this off, but if you want to, you could turn this on. Maybe you like lower sense for your low zoom optics like red dots. You could turn that down, and then you could turn your sniper scopes up or vice versa. Vertical aim axis, don't mess with any of this stuff. Third person ADS correction type, none. Mouse calibration, make sure all of these are set to 0 and off. Use system mouse cursor, this one's preference, I just have it off. Next, let's go into keybinds. For the most part, keybinds are personal preference, but there are a few that I want to talk about. First thing, make sure system key behavior is set to game so that when you hit your Windows key, it doesn't kick you into the desktop. Most of my binds are pretty straightforward. I do like to have scroll wheel on jump so that it's a little bit easier to b-hop. It's a little bit easier to do zipline tech. My prone is on Z, my crouch and slide is on control. It's important to have these on different keybinds. You don't want to have just one change stance and slide and dive keybind. Interact is F and scroll wheel up. Scroll wheel interact is very good for picking up multiple items of loot faster. You'll be able to get guns before people if you're 50-50ing it off drop. And I also feel like this makes zipline tech a little bit easier too, because you're not sitting there spamming interact over and over on your keyboard. And then movement advanced keybinds, there's nothing too special in here. For next weapon, you want to have this set to whatever you use to change weapons. So I use 1 and 2. I'll show you the 2 keybind in just a second. But if you guys want a YY, you have to use this keybind. So I use 1 to change my weapon normally, and I use C to YY. And then these are all my other keybinds, nothing too special. But come down here to combat add advanced keybinds, and then previous weapon, set this to whatever other keybind you use for your secondary weapon. I use 2, so I use 1 and 2 to change weapons normally, and then I use C to YY. And then these are my kill streak keybinds. They look kind of weird, like they're kind of far, but I just hit them with my thumb. And then vehicle advanced keybinds, nothing too special here. Make sure you have a next seat keybind so it makes car plays a little bit easier. Other than that, there's not really too much in here. Then overlay keybinds, these are personal preference. Now let's head over into the gameplay tab. Crouch behavior, hold, unless you want toggle. This one's kind of preference. I prefer hold though. Run behavior, I like to have this one on toggle. I like to use automatic sprint. I don't like to use automatic tack sprint because it makes shotguns kind of weird to use. There's a delay every time you come out of that tack sprint animation. That's most noticeable with shotguns. Slide maintain sprint, you want to keep this on. Sprint behavior, I like to have this on toggle. And tack sprint behavior, I like single tap sprint. Close backpack on sprint, I like to have this on. Walk behavior, hold. Automatic airborne mantle off. Automatic ground mantle hang off. Grounded mantle off. You want all these off so you're just not randomly climbing things in game and messing you up. Slide dive activation independent. Slide dive behavior standard. Parachute behavior, you want this off. You always want to be manually pulling your chute so that you can get closer to the actual ground and you're not getting beamed. Now let's go to movement advanced settings. Interact behavior, you want this on default. At least for M&K, I'm not too sure about controller. Ledge climb behavior, mantle only. Plunging underwater free, and sprinting door bash, you definitely want this on. Combat behaviors, aimed on sight behavior, I like to have this on hold. For change zoom activation, it's personal preference. I use sprint, tack sprint. Equipment behavior, I like hold. Weapon mount activation is on toggle. Depleted ammo weapon switch is on. Tack stance activation off, because I don't really like using tack stance. Armor plate behavior, make sure this is on apply all. It makes plating much more consistent in Warzone. C4 detonation, I like 1x1. Then let's go to combat advanced settings. Weapon switch wrap around, you want this on if you want to be able to YY. If you have this off, you won't be able to. Sprint cancels reload, turn this off. Weapon mount exit delay, turn it off. Manual fire behavior, make sure this is on press. You don't want this on hold. Hold makes burst weapons automatics where you don't have to click the trigger each time you want to shoot, but it also makes certain guns like pistols shoot really slow, and it can also hurt the TTK of some guns when it's on hold, so make sure it's on press. Akimbo behavior, I like this on independent. Kill streak reordering, earned order, this one's preference. Then vehicle behaviors, these ones don't really matter. I like lean out activation on ADS. Ping wheel delay, you want this on the longest so that you're not accidentally pulling up that ping wheel all the time when you're pinging. And then wheels behavior, you want this on hold. And then finally controller settings. I haven't really played a controller since like Black Ops 3 on the Xbox, but these were the settings that I was using. I was using 7.7, 0.9 ADS, gradual ADS sensitivity, aim assist on and on default, not Black Ops, because I've heard people say it doesn't matter in this game. Default's the same. ADS aim assist on, obviously. And that's about it. I don't know too much about controller, but I feel like my aim assist was pretty good with these options, but there is better guides for this out there. And the very last tab is going to be the account and network tab. Not really too much to go over in this tab, but I do like to turn dismemberment and gore effects off. This is just less physics for your PC to have to render out, but that covers it for everything in game. Now I'm going to go into the config files and show you guys a few tweaks to better your FPS even further, lower your input delay more, and give you better visibility. It's really easy to find it. Just go into File Explorer, or you could come down in your Windows search bar and type in documents, but just go to your documents, go to Call of Duty, and then we're going to go into this file right here, options.4.cod23, double click that. And it might look kind of intimidating at first, but I'm going to run you guys through everything that's important. The first thing that's important is render worker count. So the best option for this is going to be the amount of your CPU cores minus 1. I have a Ryzen 5800X, which has 8 cores, so I would enter in 7 right here. It's really easy to find how many cores your CPU has. You can just look it up online, or you can come into your task manager and it'll tell you right here the number of cores you have. None of the audio stuff is really important. There is some stuff that I want to cover in the gameplay part. Make sure depth of field is on false. Corpse limit, set this to 0. Show blood, set this to false. This will give you a little bit better visibility because there's not blood splattering everywhere. Limit blood effects, I like to set this to true. Blood limit interval, I have this on 1. Show brass, I keep this false so I can't see when the shells are leaving the gun when I shoot. And then we'll go down just a little bit more to the graphics part. If you guys don't care about textures, you want the absolute best FPS possible, then for texture filter, enter in texture filter linear. I like to just highlight it, copy it, and then paste it into the quotation marks. Particle quality, set this to very low. Tessellation, set this to 0 off. Just copy and paste that and put it in the quotations. Model quality level, you want this low quality. Corpse cooling threshold, set this to 0.5. Subdivision level, set this to 0. World streaming quality low. Volumetric quality, set this quality low. Screen space shadow quality, you want this to be off. Not sure why it changed, but I'm just gonna set it to off. Sun shadow cascades, you want this on low, 1 cascade. Shadow quality, very low. SSAO technique off. SSR mode off. Reflection probe relighting, 1. Static clip map resolution, 0. These upscaling ones don't really matter. We're gonna scroll down just a little bit more. Shader quality, you want this low. Deferred physics quality, you want this low quality. Water caustics mode, you want this off. Water wave wetness, set this to false. Reflection probe half resolution, set this to true. For virtual texturing memory mode, put this to extra large. Weather grid volume, set this off. DXR mode, you want that off. GPU upload load heaps. This one is going to depend a little bit. If you are specifically playing Warzone, I'd recommend turning this to false, but I do get much better FPS in multiplayer with it on, so it's going to depend from person to person. But if you're only playing Warzone, I'd recommend setting it to false. Velocity based blur, set this to false. Then go down just a little bit to mouse and gamepad where it says use raw mouse input. Make sure this is true. And then if you are on M&K, we're going to have to change this right here, the yaw speed. This will make your mouse input feel a little bit better. And it's really easy to find the value. You just multiply your sensitivity by 0.022 and you get the value from there. So you guys saw that I was playing 3 in game, so I just multiply 3 by 0.022, which would give me a value of 0.066. So I would just enter in 66 right here. Make sure you keep all the zeros. But if I was playing 800 DPI 6, I would do 6 times 0.022 and that would give me 0.132. So then I would just enter in 132 right there. Just do that for whatever sense that you're using. The DPI doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is the actual sensitivity number itself. And that's it for the config file. Just come up here, hit save, X out of it, and you're done. You don't have to set it to read only. But yeah, guys, that about covers it for this video. That's all of the settings. Like I said earlier, if any of this stuff did help you, please do leave a like and a comment. It helps the video out so much. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any helpful videos like this in the future. Links to all my social medias are down below if you want to see more of me. And if you guys want to see me play games live, my Twitch is down below there too. I stream a few times a week. Yeah, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it helped. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.